and today I'm going to be talking about the Google Pixel 8 Pro and my thoughts about the phone itself. But as you'll see, the phone on itself is no longer good enough. So Google recently announced the Pixel 8 Pro. It also announced the Pixel Watch 2, an upgrade to its last year's Pixel Watch 1. And I was really favourably impressed by the Pixel 8 Pro. So I shall waffle on about that to start off with. But to cut to the chase and kind of a summary envelope of the situation is, I think in today's environment, having a great phone is no longer good enough. If you make substantial use of your phone, you're probably also going to have a smartwatch. Unless those two items work excellently together, you aren't going to get the best of either. And it's now a question of how well that package works together rather than have I just got the best phone. And a precursor to all is, of course, that if you don't use your phone very much or you don't need the best camera or you only occasionally use your smartphone, then of course stop watching now. I'm really catering to the people who are not obsessed with their phone but use their phone as a real tool to save them a lot of hassle and improve their productivity. And that's the way I look at my smartphone and smartwatch combination. So that's a long rambling introduction. What is so brilliant about the 8 Pro? Of course, there are two sizes of the latest phone announcement. There's the 8 and the 8 Pro. But whereas on the Apple announcement, the difference between the 15 and the 15 Pro was this 5 times telephoto lens that Apple have got. We have a better advance between the 8 and the 8 Pro, so much so that even though the 8 Pro is a ridiculously large phone, I think if I had to go for a new smartphone combination, then I'd have to choose the 8 Pro, and that's because it's got this fantastic camera setup. So Google has for a long time had really not just really good camera hardware, but has had the best camera software. And I still believe that it trumps the Apple software. It leaves it standing. But in terms of hardware, the new 8 Pro has got these 3 lenses on the back, which is quite amazing. It's got a 50 megapixel standard lens. It's got a 48 megapixel ultra-wide lens. And it's got a 5 times telephoto 48 megapixel lens. So those 3 lenses far exceed, in terms of hardware, the ability of the Apple iPhone 15 Pro. And they've added some extra features to their camera software. So apart from the magic eraser, which allowed you to erase things that you didn't want in the photograph, you can now move things like people in the photograph. And you can also have a mode whereby you, in a burst photograph shot, you can take the classic example I think they quoted was that if you got a shot where in a group photo and some people have got their blinkered in one photo but not on the other, you can grab the best photo of each person and push them all into one photo. So that's just amazing, absolutely amazing. So I think if you take a lot of photographs, the 8 Pro is probably going to be the best camera phone to purchase. The best camera phone to purchase. The other things, and I think one of the main things that amazed me, but I've got a separate section about it, is that Google now claims to have secure face unlock only using the standard camera. I'll come on to that in a second, but the lack of secure face unlock was what led me away from Google in the first place. Because the Pixel 4 was the last Google Pixel phone that had secure face unlock. And after that, they've had under-screen fingerprint readers, which had worked between awfully and really not very well. So if Google have cracked secure face unlock with just a front-facing regular camera and Tensor G3 AI, then that's going to be very interesting. And it begs the question, why would you actually need any kind of fingerprint reader then at all, which is present on the 8 Pro, of course. So we'll come to that in a second. The 7-year operating system support is brilliant, but really it's just on a par with Apple. So as any smartphone savvy person knows, the problem about the Android marketplace is that the smartphone that you buy not only has poor resale value, but won't be upgraded to the latest operating system after the first few years of ownership. So the only real way to get a bang up to date operating system and bang up to date security fixed Android phone is usually to buy a new one. So what Google are claiming here is if you buy the Pixel phone as opposed to any other phone running Android, which would be any other Android phone, you can get 7 years of operating system support. Oh, this is fantastic. But again, it's no better really than Apple already gives to every Apple iPhone user. So thanks, Google. You're again holding up the side of things for Android, but what about the rest of the Android marketplace? Other things in this phone, it's got a massive battery, it's got USB-C connectivity, and it's got 12 gigabytes of memory. It's also got a temperature sensor. So, I mean, that is quite interesting and useful. Maybe it doesn't do people yet, but I've seen some other blog posts say that that's because it's waiting FDA approval. And of course, everything happens in America first. So, if it'll ever come to the UK, who knows? I would recommend the GSM Arena site to compare and contrast phones. In the article, there is the link to that site. Here are some of the columns with the Apple phone on the, where are we? Apple phone on the right and the Mr. 8 Pro on the left. So Tensor G3 on the left and Apple A17 Pro on the right. It goes out saying that both these phones are massively powerful and completely over the top for the majority of users, and I think only real gamers would be able to use the CPU to any great degree over a consistently long period of time. Anyway, so my whole point about in this article that I'm writing is that it's no longer good enough to just consider the phone in isolation, but really you've got to consider what benefits you get if you've got a partnership between the best smartphone and the best smartwatch. Now, of course, Apple being Apple, don't allow you to effectively use the Ultra 2 smartwatch with any other phone than Apple. And also the vice versa, which is that if you were to buy an Apple iPhone 15 Pro or Apple iPhone anything, then you can't meaningfully connect any kind of Android smartwatch to it. So thanks, Apple. They're restrictive as usual. But if we bear that in mind and see what facilities would we be getting from the first combination versus the second combination. So I'll just run through the bullet points that I've thought of, which is, the first is the integration with Google. So whereas Apple does have an email system and a cloud storage system and a contacts, which you can store all in the Apple cloud, only very few people can take advantage of that, because that would mean to say that you'd need to have an Apple laptop or desktop, an Apple phone, and an Apple smartwatch. And very few people invest everything Apple. And even if you did invest everything Apple, if you want to share a document with somebody else and that somebody else isn't everything Apple, then you have a problem. So it's safe to say, I would say it's universally true to say that in any part of the world, because in more affluent parts of the world, you tend to get more Apple users. But in any part of the world, if you're trying to share documents with other people who are not in the Apple bubble, then you're going to be using Google, and the majority of people are using Google. And so the Pixel 8 Pro and Pixel Watch 2 will better synchronize with the Google subsystem because they are part of the Google subsystem. Okay. The Apple Watch and phone combo, of course, you can add in a Google Mail account into that, but it doesn't give you the ability to share documents because you only share documents with the Google Cloud and not the Apple Cloud. Find My Partner and Find My Items and Find My Find My Anything is a is a great feature which is only available to Apple users and using AirTags. And it is a fantastic feature. So just to remind everyone, if you have an Apple phone and an Apple Watch, then you can participate in the AirTags scenario, which means to say that you can buy this AirTag for about £30 in the UK. You attach it to something you don't want to lose, and if you do lose it, then anytime anybody else with an Apple device wanders past that item, it's going to be able to tell you where that lost item is. And that is a fantastic feature. It is just unfreaking believable. And not only that, they've extended it now because you can also have find my partner or find my friends. So my partner and I have both got Apple phones, and it means to say that with the latest release of the Apple software, you can say, for example, tell my partner every time I arrive at a specific location. I've got an example here. So I can set up this situation where I say every time I arrive at a particular location, I can have a usual location, particular location, or where I left my car keys or wherever, left my car. Then once only or every time, tell somebody else. And that's just freaking amazing. It means to say that if I'm at home, my partner and I have now done it on a reciprocal basis. It means to say that if I'm physically sitting at home and my partner comes back from a run, when she's about a couple of hundred, 10 meters, 10 or 20 meters away, I get a notification that she's approaching. I mean, what could be better? And vice versa. So if I've gone off cycling and I'm coming home, she'll get a notification saying, oh yes, husband is arriving. So it's just an absolutely brilliant facility, and I don't think there's any comparable facility under the Google subsystem. So I'm afraid that is a major negative. Next is Maps. So both Google and Apple platforms we've got Google Maps, we've got Apple Maps. Apple Maps is actually now quite good. So that's the first surprise to people who've been knocking Apple Maps for a while. We've been trying out Apple Maps recently, and it is very good. But there's more. And the more is that on an Apple Watch, you can get turn-by-turn directions of the route that you are on. So I want to go from here to the local village, for example, to post a letter, or I'm going to go to a fair. There's a fair on this weekend, or there's a running race on this weekend, and I'm marshalling. If I want to go from there to that particular marshalling point, how would I get there? I plan a route, and then on my watch I can see turn by turn, step by step, how to get to that destination. And so without taking my phone out of my pocket, I can do that route, and that is really handy. I cannot tell you how handy it is. I don't believe the same is available on the Google platform. I could be wrong, because I don't have a Pixel 8 Pro and a Pixel Watch 2. I wish I did have. And Google, if you'd love to send me one, then I'll be able to do a much better informed review. Find my devices. That is in fact what I've been talking about before, so we can delete that. So the Find My option is devices. Could be your laptop. It's items, means to say things that you've attached an AirTag to, and it's people. That's people who are wearing Apple devices, and you're sharing location with each other. So those are the three categories in the Apple world. Again, there is no equivalent in the Google world. Brightness. Okay, so this is for people with average vision like myself. I need a large clear screen, and unfortunately Google, whilst your Google 8 Pro has some bonkersly high nits resolution, I think it's up to 2,400 nits, which is, I think that's just bonkersly good. Your smartwatch doesn't have anything like that. So unfortunately you lose on brightness. Next call answering, that's the same on both platforms. You can take a call and you can receive a call on the Apple Watch, for example. And using this little islandy thing at the top here, I can actually transfer the call mid-session to the phone. which is quite useful. So typically I can answer the phone call quickly here. And then I get my phone out of my pocket and I can then continue the call from the phone itself. So that's quite handy. Don't know if that's possible under the Google platform. I would hope it would be. Application installation. So unusually, I would say that on the Apple platform, there's I don't know how it works from a software perspective, but I'm guessing if you're writing some kind of meta language or high level product, that when you write an application for the phone, it can maybe be semi-translated into a watch app. Again, this is completely guessing, but there's a setting from a user perspective to say if you install an application X on the phone, then install the companion application X on the watch. So if I go to the watch, I will see, for example, I have got, in this particular case, let's go to a third-party application. I've got the Komoot hiking app, Komoot. That allows me to record where I'm walking or hiking on my watch itself. And the main app is sitting on my phone. And so when I download and install the Komoot app on the phone, it would automatically put that onto the watch. That's a setting you can have, or you can manually install it. But I think that there are a lot of apps that are available on the actual Apple Watch that are not available in the companion Google platform. So again, kind of advantage Apple. Another thing is unlocking each other, and that is another advantage of the Apple platform versus the Google platform. I'm sorry, you can see where this is going slightly. The Apple Watch is able to unlock the Apple phone. The Apple phone can unlock the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch can unlock the Apple computer. So it's very handy to have if you're completely submersed in the Apple subsystem. These devices can unlock each other, and that is very handy. Again, advantage Apple. Notifications. Now, I seem to recall that on my Android 13 phone, which is a Pixel 4, I liked notifications better on the smartphone than I did with Apple. But transferring them to the smartwatch is better with Apple. So the notifications I've got control of, I can actually transfer to my smartwatch, and that avoids me having to look at my phone much of the time. Now, this is a huge advantage. If you're not in this, if this isn't a problem to you, then this really, this is one of the main reasons why I would say you have to have these days a phone and smartwatch combo, and that's because I personally get tens to hundreds of notifications per day, and if I had to keep looking at my phone, it would drive me absolutely batty, and it almost drives me absolutely batty having to look at my watch all the time. But it is a slightly less injurious situation, and I just made a list of the things that some of the things that just to make me think about what. So if you look after a WhatsApp group, you might get dozens of notifications per day. I have the Find My set, for example, so my partner and I can understand if we're close to each other, or if we've gone off for some exercise and we're coming back, we can sort of notify each other automatically. I get multiple SMSs for various different things, groups I might be attached to, or organisations that might be sending me SMSs to alert me to certain things. That can come through to my watch. The Signal messaging system, which I would, of course, prefer to that horrible WhatsApp application, that can come through to my watch. Our cat has a computer connected cat flap, and whenever she comes in and out, she tells me. Again, it comes to the phone, and the phone sends it to the watch. That happens at least 10 times a day, so that's a very interesting saving. Amazon deliveries, again, their notifications coming through to my phone and then to the watch. And of course, Facebook, which I think I blocked today because it's just getting too much. So again, in my opinion, Apple does it better. even though notifications on their own are better handled than Android than with iOS. Fast operating system delivery, that is to talk about the fact that if you've got a Google smartphone, you're going to get the Android updates, of course, quicker than anybody else, and you'll get the upgrade to the operating system quicker than anyone else, that's the main thing. And if you're not with a Google provider, you may not even get the latest operating system. And according to the headline, you're going to get 7 years of updates, which is absolutely amazing. Moving on to the watch, if you compare the Apple Watch 2 with the Pixel Watch 2, there's no comparison. And of course, you might say, well, they're two completely different price points. But if you're buying this combination of 8 Pro and Watch, probably you're going to be able to afford the price point of the Apple Watch. So what you might be saying to Google is, why, Google, haven't you got Pixel Watch 2 and Pixel Watch 2 Ultra? Because I, Mr. Google 8 Pro owner, would like something better than the Pixel Watch 2. And I think that is a fundamental stumbling block. Google has just got the one product. It doesn't have a high-end watch and a medium-end watch, if you like. And if you look at the displays in particular, and I'm very display sensitive, the size of the Pixel Watch did not improve. The brightness of the Pixel 2 watch did not improve. And of course, the pixels are obviously similarly down. So from a display point of view, which is why I'm looking at the watch, things aren't so good. So for me, even if the Google 8 Pro is fantastic and superior to the iPhone 15 Pro, which I believe it is in many respects, because it's linked to the watch and the watch is so meh, then unfortunately that has a knock-on effect of how good is the overall combination. The overall combination just doesn't match up to the Apple, which is a shame. Right, face unlock, very important topic, and I think then we're going to be done because we're just going to run through other people's reviews and point you in the right directions. So let me just, can I open this link? Let's open it in a new tab. Can I open it? So I looked at a very interesting article from 9 to 5 Google, and it's now needed to be better formatted. So wait a second. Okay, so one of the reasons why, or the main reason I actually left the Google franchise in the first place and reluctantly stepped into the Apple world was the fact that on my beloved Pixel 4, we had secure face unlock. Then with the next generation of Google phones, we had a variety of truly appalling fingerprint readers, which had bugs, they didn't work properly, they worked slowly, they didn't recognize very well. And Apple, I still believe, has the best technology now, only because Google dropped it. And Google had on the Pixel 4 the same kind of setup that Apple has on every high-end iPhone. But they dropped it. And now what Google is saying is on the latest 8 and 8 Pro, they found out a way to use this camera, the regular front-facing camera, on its own, without any infrared or 3D scanning, in some way to make it secure. So, and this is a huge, huge thing, because if that's actually true, then there's no actual need to have a fingerprint sensor at all, if we take it to its logical conclusion. So what they're saying here, let me move this screen around so we can see. In this article, which is from 9 to 5 Google, they're claiming that the Pixel 8 meets the highest Android biometric standard, which is Class 3, formally strong. That's what they're actually claiming. I'll say that again slowly. They're claiming that the new face unlock using the standard camera of a Pixel 8 or Pixel 8 Pro meets the highest Android biometric standard, in which case you do not need a fingerprint reader at all. And if that's true, and if that continues to be true, then of course you can use that face unlock for banking apps or for apps that need that extra security, where they need a biometric login. So that is going to be a very, very interesting. That's going to be very interesting in terms of whether that's going to pan out. We're going to see people who are going to own 8s and 8 Pros will the banking world accept the face unlock given by the standard Google camera? And if there is, that's going to be a complete game changer. I wouldn't say I'm going to be jumping back to a Pixel phone, but I mean, it gives me at least the chance, because what we're saying is that overnight, Google has made a fingerprint reader redundant. That'd be very, very, very interesting to see. So I think that for me is the most interesting point of the whole Google announcement. The fact that we might be able to get back to a secure face unlock with just a front-facing camera. But let me just say I'm suspicious. The other part of my write-up is just going to go through the other reviews. I would highlight, I think I've put them in order of interest. Dave 2D did a really good 8 Pro early thoughts review. I'd look at that. If you're going to watch one review, just watch that one. Of course, other YouTubes available. We've got the Pixel Vent of 15 minutes, and we've also got the full hour plus of is it hour plus review of Google. So there are other things to look at. But if you're going to watch one other video, apart from this excellent video, I'd go for Dave 2D's video. Okay, Dari, I have waffled on. I hope that's been interesting to you, and it just puts my thoughts down in the video so I can get them into context. Thank you so much for watching.